Yo, this video is a little bit different. I want to go through my favorite D1 patterns for longs that have the highest probability and tend to work almost all the time, market pending, of course. And they're a break of a downsloping algo line or downsloping trend line or a compression break. So we're going to start with ZS here today. So if you take a look at this thing, you have this high volume candle right through there. So you take a look at that high volume candle. Sorry, let me get this out of the way. And you've got above average volume down there. So we know it's possibly an algo line, and we can tell because we've got another touch point through there. And then we break that obviously on some sort of news or earnings or something like that. So this one's a little bit more of an aggressive one, but it's breaking on high relative volume. So of course we have the relative strength, but we have crazy big relative volume, and we have a bigger than average candle, and it's breaking a downsloping trend line on a bullish overall chart. This one is bullish overall because we have higher lows and then a double bounce instead of it going back down. Okay, so ZS is a good one. Next up, REGN. Here's an example of an extreme one. So we can see these two downsloping trend lines. They might be algos, might not, we don't know. And we see this massive break of this tight range on huge relative volume, RVol, right through there. But this thing was just a little too wild. So you can see right through there, this thing banged up against resistance. This right here was an algo line. You see the volume on that starting candle right through there, that perfect trace all the way up and where it got rejected. Let's take a look at KR. I took this trade and I'm still in this trade right now. A couple people got successful on this one. This one's the cleanest possible version of this thing that you can take a look at. You've got this downsloping trend line. You've got this tighter range, and this chart overall is bullish. So we've got higher lows popping up. And then all of a sudden we get this big ass candle breaking the SMA, both SMAs. It's bigger than average. It's got that high relative volume. This blue line, by the way, is OBV. So sometimes you can tell if things are kind of fake or not. And then you've got this high relative volume to the market as well. This one is a nice one, and ideally it should have some continuation, but who knows with the market these days, we might just gap down again. I might have to take a loss in this thing. Next up, SYK. Really like this one. Big down sloping trend line, break to the upside on it, break on the SMA, bigger than average candle, high relative volume. Again, this is crucial. If you don't see this, don't take it, okay? And then you can see this continuation all the way through. The only thing that stopped me on this was my overall freak out about how things were maybe going to drop, the bear sentiment. And I saw this little line of horizontal support through here, and I wasn't sure if I was going to make it over top there. Then I saw this horizontal support. But SYK would have been a great trade as well. ACI, let's take a look at this one. Once again, this one was good on Wednesday. You take a look at these two downsloping trend lines, this big one, and you look at how much the candles connect on this. So this is a higher than average volume candle, right? It's above the 50, sorry, it's blurry. It's above the 50 moving average. And then you can see how easily these wicks connect perfectly with that. That is easily an algo line that you can tell. And it comes all the way down to there, and then you've got a smaller one right through here, which isn't as sharp, but once again, you've got that high volume candle kicking it off, tracing downwards as well. So it's a double algo line break, and it also breaks this SMA as well. It's on high relative volume once again. And then we've got some follow through, but it's a little choppy. We've got the bounce and then back up through and then the rejection off the 200. So even though you have these patterns, you need to make sure the context of the market, you need to make sure the horizontal resistance as well. And you also need to make sure there's not too much in the way of it too, but this pattern is still damn gold. Okay, next up, this is the second type of pattern I like. CHNG right through here might have too low of an ATR to trade, but overall you see this tight range on an overall bullish chart. This thing is going up and up and up and up and up. In fact, it's going up so much, if you look at the yearly chart, it's at an all-time high. So you know there's nobody above that is just waiting to sell into you that's been holding the bag on this thing, which means that you have a much higher likelihood of going up again. We don't know if there's an upsloping trend line and resistance. I haven't checked that, but you have this overall bullish chart, this little consolidation, this big range candle, once again, high relative volume. You guys see a pattern developing here? This is so key. And then the continuation through. Love this chart as well. Next up, LYFT. Look at this. These wicks touching each other perfectly. This candle, high relative volume on that candle. Algo line coming through. Break of it over the 50 SMA, over the algo line. Continuation through. Obviously, we have the 100 here, but I'm going to put a little alert right through here just to tell if I am going to miss out on this trade or not, because I don't want to miss it, because this thing could continue through all the way up to this resistance up through here. Can you guys see a pattern developing? It's the same shit. Okay, ENPH, another the second type of pattern. I took this one 3 days ago. Nice little break of this compression range. Overall bullish chart. Once again, this thing is at an all-time high. Big relative volume on that breakout candle. Took it overnight, took profits near the peak, got out. Just because this thing didn't work overall doesn't mean it's not a fantastic day trade. This was on, look at that, a $10 move on that type of trade. That's fantastic. The premium on this thing is really big too, be careful. Flex is another one I really like. This candle is above average volume. You see it trace down. This candle touches, this candle touches. Boom, higher than average size candle. Big relative volume. Follow through. This thing is probably good until a greater resistance line. We're not really sure where it is, because if you zoom out, it's a very big, weird, volatile, expanding range. So don't swing trade this thing. And then lastly, we got coin right through here. Once again, you have this down sloping algo line. Touch, touch, touch. This starting candle has higher than average relative volume. Heck, this one might be an algo line too. I'm not exactly sure. It's a break of the SMA. It's a break of that line. We've got a little gap in here that I was taking care of not to miss, but it's over that gap. I've got an alert set for this line for continuation through. And if it goes through here, I've got a nice little, geez, disgusting 11%, $9 worth of room to play around with that as well. So there you have it, guys. Those are my two favorite trades. A downsloping trend line break, ideally an algo line that breaks with high relative volume over an SMA2, ideally on a bigger than average candle. Or my other favorite one is overall bullish chart, tight little range, pop, let's go. Okay, same idea. You gotta have that high relative volume.